What is going on? What is poppin' YouTube world? My name is Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. I appreciate you guys for watching this video today. Be sure to smash this like button right about now, as it does help these videos get to the public and my channel to grow overall. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos weekly, and I post every single day if I can, and turn on post notifications too, so you do not miss a single one of those videos that I post. It's only right, you guys. So the NFL All 100 team got released, I believe, yesterday, a couple hours ago actually. So I'm going to make this video talking about it, discussing it, because overall, I don't have too many issues with the NFL All 100 list. I think the NFL did a pretty good job in some areas. You know, you could argue about certain positions, you know, guys, you can't pinpoint and pick out every single thing that's wrong with this list, because there's just so many NFL players that have played in the NFL. There's so many different eras. You know, you can say you watched all these players play. Unless you're 80 plus years old or 70 plus years old, I don't believe you. And if you did, you didn't watch them all fully, in my opinion. So again, we can only go back and look at the stats to some degree. We can only look at some film from the past. You know, some past game films that we have access to from the 1950s, 1940s, all that good stuff. So bottom line, it's a hard list to make, and there's some mistakes that are going to be made on the way, and there are some good things that this NFL list has on it. However, I believe the fact that the NFL left these 6 players that I'm going to talk about in this video off the list automatically, in my opinion, to some degree, disqualifies this list entirely. I'm just going to make the argument for why I believe these 6 players must, and I repeat, must be on the NFL 100 list, and why the fact that they're not on this list, I have no idea. Those 6 players are Drew Brees, Terrell Owens, Adrian Peterson, Frank Gore, Calvin Johnson, and Aaron Rodgers. I think Darrelle Revis is an honorable mention. I think he was one of the best quarterbacks in his prime. He was a total shutdown corner. He followed everyone. He shut down Randy Moss. He shut down, you know, T.O. when he faced up with him. Darrelle Revis shut down everyone in his prime. But again, there's a lot of good defensive backs that are on this list. So again, if you want to leave off Darrelle Revis, fine. But I would have Darrelle Revis on this list. He was one of the best shutdown corners I've ever seen. I match him up with anyone all time. I also think Antonio Gates should be on this list. To me, he's one of the most dominant tight ends of all time, and he gets the longevity, you know, argument as well. He was a pretty good starter for a long period of time. He didn't just fall off after his prime. And even players like Steve Young and Bart Starr, who are not on this list, I will get to them in a little bit. I think they should be on this list, no doubtedly. But the obvious one that needs to be on this list is Drew Brees. I'm sorry, guys. The fact that the NFL left Drew Brees off this list, and again, I'm not trying to bash the NFL. I'm not trying to bash anyone that made this list. I'm just telling you why I disagree with the decision to leave these players off the list. But getting back to my point, the fact that Drew Brees was left off the NFL 100, that's kind of like leaving Kareem Abdul-Jabbar off the All-NBA list, okay? The all-time leading scorer. You know, or doing the same thing to Wilt Chamberlain, one of the greatest scorers of all time. You know, that's like in baseball leaving Hank Aaron off of any MLB all-time hitting list. There's just some players you have to absolutely have in there. Drew Brees is the all-time leader of all time in the NFL in completion percentage, touchdown passes, yards, and he's won a Super Bowl. How can you leave Drew Brees off this list? I don't understand it. I don't know why. I'm not going to take too much time to evaluate why the NFL left him off this list. I can't think of it. I tried to look up the criteria for this list, but I couldn't find it. So, you know, the quarterbacks they had on there in place of Drew Brees were Sammy Bogg, Otto Graham, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Roger Staubach, John Elway, Dan Marino, Brett Favre, Johnny Unitas, and Joe Montana. For me, Unitas, Montana, Brady, Manning, and Otto Graham, got no problems with them being on there. But Sammy Bogg, more interceptions than touchdown passes? Really? I know he's pretty accomplished. I know Roger Staubach has the rings. I know John Elway has the rings. I know Dan Marino who doesn't have any rings. I know he was a great thrower of the football. He may be the most talented thrower of the football I've ever seen, not named Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes. You know, Brett Favre was great, but Drew Brees has one Super Bowl ring. So does Brett Favre. I'm just saying that Drew Brees passes Brett Favre in all those numbers. He passes Roger Staubach in all those numbers. There's no quarterback statistically, and I get it. Statistics are not everything. But statistically, no quarterback in the history is better than Drew Brees. He belongs on this list. I also believe Aaron Rodgers deserved to be on the NFL 100. Aaron Rodgers, to me, is one of the 7 or 8 best quarterbacks to ever play the game right now. He has a case for the top 5. That's how highly I think of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the best passer rating of all time. He has the best touchdown to interception ratio of all time. He's won 2 MVPs. He's one of 9 players in history to win multiple MVPs. And I believe he's the most gifted thrower of the football I've ever seen. If I'm drafting a team, I'm either taking Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning, because I believe those quarterbacks had the most influence on the outcome of their team winning of any quarterback that's ever played in history. And I believe that you get in the Hall of Fame for a reason. You get on these lists for a reason. Tom Brady and Joe Montana are on these types of lists because of the rings. Drew Brees, Dan Marino, Brett Favre, they're on these lists for the numbers they put up, okay? Aaron Rodgers should be on this list, and he should be on most lists like this, because when you just watch him play, you can look at him and say, who throws the football better? Who do you want on your team that's more talented? If I could build a real team around a quarterback, if I could choose a quarterback that's ever played the position at its highest level, who's mastered the position at its highest level, that's Aaron Rodgers. I think he deserves to be on that list for that reason. And guys, if you're going to pick a Packers quarterback, I believe Aaron Rodgers is the greatest Packers quarterback of all time. I believe he's better than Bart Starr. I believe he's better than, Brett Favre even. I think Brett Favre is not better than Aaron Rodgers. That's just my opinion. I have Aaron Rodgers on this list, and I can make the case for Steve Young. I can make the case for Bart Starr being in there, who won 2 Super Bowls. He won the first 2 Super Bowls ever, Bart Starr. Steve Young, he takes over for Joe Montana. He never became better than Joe Montana. That's no shame in that. Joe Montana is the GOAT, maybe the GOAT arguably, if you take out Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, in my opinion. Steve Young was great. One of the best dual threat quarterbacks of all time. So those quarterbacks deserve to be on the list to some degree, in my opinion. You could kick off Starbuck. You could kick off whoever you want. I believe those quarterbacks deserve to be on there. Now let's get to the wide receivers, okay? I believe Calvin Johnson and Terrell Owens were severely robbed. And again, some of the receivers that made it, Paul Warfield, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Steve Largett, Don Hudson, Elroy Hirsch, Marvin Harrison, Larry Fitzgerald, Raymond Berry, and Lance Allworth. All amazing wide receivers. However, like I said, I'm just going to make the case for Terrell Owens and Calvin Johnson, okay? When we look at Terrell Owens, it's a shame, guys. It's a shame that Terrell Owens had to wait to get into the Hall of Fame. It's a shame that he's not on this list. You cannot tell me Terrell Owens is not a top 100 NFL player. Even if you want to count the baggage that came with him as far as being a bad teammate. Even if you want to count the drop passes. Terrell Owens is by far a top 100 player of all time. 8th all-time in receptions. 3rd all-time in touchdowns. 3rd all-time in yards. I mean, he's one of the 5 best wide receivers of all time. How can you leave him off the list? If I'm drafting a wide receiver to start my team, I want Terrell Owens at some point. He's coming off that board pretty early. Terrell Owens was by far robbed of not being on this list. And I understand Calvin Johnson only played for 9 years in the NFL. But again, guys, like I said, a lot of these players, linebackers, defensive ends, all these players get on these types of lists for different reasons. I believe Calvin Johnson should get on this list specifically because I think that if you could build a wide receiver, he's the wide receiver you want to build. I even think that if you want to build a wide receiver, you wouldn't build Jerry Rice. You built Calvin Johnson. Not saying that Calvin Johnson is better than Jerry Rice, but again, Calvin Johnson was faster than Jerry Rice. Okay? He was bigger than Jerry Rice. Okay? That's just the facts. That's just the facts. Okay? Calvin Johnson, imagine seeing a 6'5" wide receiver that can jump over anyone, that can run by anyone. That's an A+ route runner. That's an A+ guy in the red zone. Okay? That did it for most of his career with not a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's done this his whole career with mainly below average quarterbacks and mainly Matthew Stafford. I like Matthew Stafford. I think Matthew Stafford is arguably the most underrated quarterback in football right now. But Matthew Stafford's no all-time quarterback. No. Calvin Johnson dominated with Matthew Stafford mainly throwing him the football. Okay? I'm just saying. And in the short time Calvin Johnson actually played, 9 years, 11,600 yards, 83 touchdowns caught, okay? And in 2012, the most receiving yards in a single season in NFL history. So while Calvin Johnson retired early, he's still at his peak. Other than Jerry Rice, who's better? I'm just saying. I believe Calvin Johnson should be on this list. And lastly, Adrian Peterson and Frank Gore, to me, were robbed. Blatantly robbed, guys. Adrian Peterson won an NFL MVP. He's 5th all-time in rushing, and he's 4th all-time in rushing touchdowns, okay? And the year Adrian Peterson won MVP, he had the 2nd most rushing yards in a single season in NFL history. And he won an NFL MVP. You know, look. There's been multiple running backs that have won MVPs. Not very many non-quarterbacks have won an MVP in itself. Only 18 non-quarterbacks have won an MVP in NFL history. That's pretty impressive to be on that list. But again, back in the day, offenses ran through the running back. They ran through smash mouth football. They ran through the star running back. Now today, the last 20 or so years, it's been the quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league. Adrian Peterson was the best player, arguably, maybe in football, in the year he won MVP. He won MVP, guys, in an era in which Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, even Eli Manning, they were all in their prime and dominating at a time where running backs are thought of as interchangeable. I mean, you can literally plug in a running back right now. You can find running backs in the draft. They grow on trees. You can plug in most running backs to a system and succeed in the NFL. You know, there's no bell cow running backs that are leading teams to Super Bowls, okay? You can go back and look. It's not happening right now. It's a quarterback league. But Adrian Peterson was the best player in football the year he won MVP in an era in which Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, 4 top 10 quarterbacks were dominating. That's pretty impressive. And longevity also has to matter. Adrian Peterson, 14 years strong. He's still a starting level running back. And Frank Gore, 3rd all-time in rushing, 15 years strong. He's still an NFL starting running back. Frank Gore, he never was a guy that you looked at as the best running back in football. He never dominated football, in my opinion. But again, consistency matters. Frank Gore has been on some pretty good teams. He's been productive for many teams. No matter what system, no matter what quarterback you pair Frank Gore with, he's going to dominate. And Frank Gore's consistency and excellence and overall just longevity should get him on this list over someone. That's just my opinion. So again, that's how I feel about this list. I believe that Terrell Owens, Calvin Johnson, Aaron Rodgers, especially Drew Brees, were all snubbed of making the NFL All 100 list, okay? Once again, Drew Brees, Terrell Owens, Adrian Peterson, Frank Gore, Calvin Johnson, and Aaron Rodgers. If you want to throw in Darrelle Revis, that's fine. I think Darrelle Revis should have been on this list, but again, if this list is hard to do, it was hard for me to evaluate the entire list. I couldn't go through the entire list and say, hey, look at each position, who's missing at each position. You can make the argument that Antonio Gates should have been on the tight end list. But again, guys, comment who you think was missing off this list and why. Let me know in the comment section. Love to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video today. Be sure to smash this like button right now if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos weekly and almost every single day if I can. A fun fact about me is I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world. I want to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. Kind of like Colin Cowherd, Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp. You get the point. Okay, I want to do sports, television, and radio for a full living once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I currently am a freshman there right now. So the best thing you guys can do to just help me continue to grow as a young broadcaster is to just share this channel with all your friends, because potentially if this channel really gets somewhere, I want to start my own network, okay? You know, or potentially if it doesn't, you know, or if I fall a little bit short, I want to go into a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. So the best thing you guys can do to just flat out just help me grow as a broadcaster, help me learn, you know, get other people hip to this channel, you know, just share this channel with all your friends, share this channel on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. Also, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms. And once again, guys, just share this channel with everyone you know. Get everyone hipped and watching these videos. Get my voice out there and heard. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, all that good stuff. It's been your boy, Ghiman Mckinney, or you can just call me Juice. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in today. I really do. Have a God bless day. Stay motivated, you guys, and I'm out.